Hi, everyone. This is Austin Harrell. I'm a leasing agent in Los Angeles and Ventura County, and really excited about today's episode. We're in Ventura County, and we are with Max, and he's from Farmivore in Ventura County. Hey, Max.
Hey, Austin, how's it going?
Good, good. So appreciate you coming on. So quite an exciting business that you have. Tell us a little bit maybe about yourself and about Farmivore.
Absolutely. So my name is Max. I grew up in Ventura County. I live currently on the East Coast. I moved here a couple years ago on a journey to farm with my family. And that journey started in Ventura County, and that is what started Farmivore. Soon after graduating college, my wife and I, who we knew each other in high school, wanted to have a family farm, and that's how we wanted to raise our family. And so we set out to do that in Ojai and made some, we grew up in that area. I grew up in Santa Paula. My wife grew up in Ojai. And so we had some farming connections there, volunteered at a number of different farms, learned the skills, and eventually started our own farm. We farmed in Ojai for about 4 years, at which point we did move to the East Coast to pursue a farm here. But in the process, we partnered with Mike Roberts at McGrath Family Farmers in Camarillo. And so the business which I had created to sell my farm products and the products of other farmers continues now with Mike through Farmivore. Farmivore is meant to be the one link in between local farms and your table. As I mentioned, this was originally founded as a business to sell my own farm products, and my now co-owner and partner in the business, Mike Roberts, is also a farmer. So we're very much farmers trying to get our products into your home. And ironically, before I had my own farm, I started selling products from some of the farmers I was working with and volunteering for, and that has continued throughout the duration of the business, that we sell our own products and products from other local farmers. So to explain it simply, we have a website, farmivore.farm. We put our availability and the availability of other local farmers out on that site, whatever's growing in the field at the moment. And basically you order from the site and we bring it to your door. That's the elevator pitch.
I love it. I love it. Well, as you know, I've ordered a little bit from the company, and I was just shocked. I mean, amazing. Like, funny enough, growing up, my brother and I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, and my grandfather was a farmer by trade in Texas, which is why, part of the reason why I was so fascinated with you guys. But they always grew their fruits and vegetables at home, and they had pecan trees and growing tomatoes in the garden, and since then I don't know if I've ever seen fresh vegetables like that until I got a Farmivore box, and just the carrots have the stems coming out like a cartoon. I mean, it's really, really, really impressive. So just wanted to highlight that I was just amazed at the fruits and the quality, and just to think about, for a lot of people in my network and friends and business owners and people in the community, you guys are in our backyard. This is in Ventura County with a minimal delivery fee. So you guys, like me, if you were going to Vons or Target or anywhere, typical grocery store, which is fine, just know that in our own backyard here, priced very well for a minimal delivery fee, you can get just the most amazing fruits and vegetables that I've seen. So kudos to you guys and what you're doing. Just a very impressive operation.
Well, thank you. And you mentioned some of the bigger grocery stores in the area, and they all have produce sections. But what I would comment about, with regard to Farmivore and your conventional grocery store, is that most of the distribution channels for produce are their national channels. and produce is grown all over the country and all over the world, and it's shipped all over the country and all over the world. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but when the majority of our staples are shipped in from away, or in the case of Ventura County, grown here, possibly shipped away and then shipped back, or going through the same channels that are being shipped nationally, couldn't we shrink that to at least be a little more regional? When you think about local distribution, you've got farmers markets, you've got community supported agriculture, you've got on-farm sales, and all of those have a very small reach, as does Farmivore currently. But what we think we're building there is essentially, bit by bit, building a local distribution channel, which could eventually take a lot of the food grown here in Ventura County and actually see it consumed locally, either here in Ventura County or in neighboring counties such as Los Angeles or further afield.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so now that people are excited, let's tell them maybe where they can find you. Do you recommend, social media, website? How do they go about ordering or checking you guys out?
Well, the most direct would be to the website at farmivore.farm. That's spelled like carnivore, but farmivore, meaning you're eating from the farm. We also have a mobile app, which you can download from either the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Just search for Farmivore. We do post pretty regularly to Instagram and Facebook, but the website's really the center. That's where you can find out most about us.
Cool. And I saw last night, I was looking a little bit more on your website and noticed the subscription-based service might be kind of in the works, or maybe a new rollout coming soon. Is that something that you recommend for customers?
Definitely, yes. So traditionally, we have been a subscription-based business. We've used a couple different software platforms in the past, which are designed with farmers in mind, who run a farm box service. And I know many people are familiar with the concept of a farm box. Usually it comes on a weekly cycle, and you're getting a variety of produce from a specific farm, sometimes from multiple farms that are bunching together to collaborate. So one thing that I've always been intrigued by with the Farmivore concept is offering customizable orders that people who might not know what to do with all the contents of a farm box could choose literally exactly what they want in an order. And that kind of customization is really what drove me to start Farmivore, together with the desire to sell my own products. But when I thought about how I could do that, I thought about a farm box, I thought about farmers markets, and at one time we sold at 3 farmers markets, and my partner Mike still sells at multiple farmers markets. But ultimately, I wanted to give people the option to have the farm box experience with complete customization. Choose what items go into your box. Choose how often you get your box. Choose how big the box is. What do you want to change about that box? I want to make that possible, and I want to use software to do that so that I can manage it on the back end, and the customer has basically exactly what they want. Because I have this suspicion that a lot of people out there really would love to eat food grown closer to home, grown by people they might even be able to meet and shake their hand. And the reason they're not doing that is because it's not very convenient. The farmer's market is only open 4 hours per week. A farm box has a lot of inconveniences built into it, as great a system as that is. So we're trying to collect the best of both worlds. And basically with the expansion we got with the pandemic, which is a tragic situation, but it has had one side effect of it is that it has led more people to seek out locally grown food, and in our cases, our delivery service. So with that increase of business, for the last 3 months, we've been working with the team of developers to basically design our dream subscription scenario. So we're no longer going to be using out-of-the-box software. We've actually designed our own, and that's going to be coming out very shortly.
Can you give us a taste of maybe the most popular items, or maybe kind of those staples of the company in terms of produce, or what would you say in that regard?
Items that we sell the most of, it's not surprising. You mentioned the carrots yourself. That's one of our top sellers. People like to eat a lot of lettuce, a lot of fruits and berries. Um, Classic summer staples like tomatoes and cucumbers. Those would all be some of the most popular items.
That's great. Nice. And you touched on this a moment ago, but I wanted to see, is there any other lessons or items that come to mind in terms of the crisis? Maybe a positive lesson or maybe a little tweak in the business model?
We were just trying to keep up with the demand. We've always been a very small business. Originally this was just designed to sell my own farm products, and I did that off my very small 1-acre farm in Ojai. For several years, I was really tweaking the system and playing around with it. We got up to about 150 deliveries per week. When I partnered with Mike and moved to the East Coast, we were working together on this, and we started a lot of things fresh. We changed software, so it got down to about 60 deliveries per week. The pandemic hit, and we were doing 600 per week. So we had to bring on new crew members. We had to rent delivery vans, and we had to do some very quick scrambling to meet the demand. And we were delighted to see that we had built something which people could turn to in a time of crisis. And while farmers markets were closing and farmers were losing perishable product, which you can't just put on a shelf and save for the next farmers market, living things don't stop growing, they have to be harvested. We were able to go to those farmers and place much bigger orders and help them to recoup some of those losses, which they sadly incurred as they lost farmers markets, restaurant customers. Many restaurants just had to close shop, and some of these farmers depend on them quite heavily for their revenue. So that was the experience from the pandemic. I think one lesson that we could all learn is that I think it pays to establish a more regional food distribution system, because there's a stability to regional distribution that you lose as you go national and global. You can have incredible efficiency in the short term through national and global distribution, but I think there needs to be a balance, because when that efficiency, when one of the legs under that table is knocked out, that's a pretty big fall, and everyone in the country is affected. Whereas if distribution had more of a regional arm to it, there wouldn't be quite the swing and nationwide effect.
After we get back to some sort of normal or restrictions are lifted, is there one activity or business that you just can't wait to go to or to do?
I really miss, there's a farm to table cafe not far from our house here. And, can't wait to go back and get a cup of tea and just sit on the farm again and sit down at a table and enjoy the views. If I were to close on one note, it would really be the community aspect. And I'd like to highlight that ultimately this kind of regional distribution, which we're trying to implement through software and logistics, is only going to be possible if the community wants it. So if we as a community decide that we would like to turn to local growers, and we can take a few steps away from the grocery store, or maybe encourage the grocery store to look at someone like us and source from farms like us, there's no reason this couldn't happen. And I see a lot of proposals that want it to happen overnight, and they say, if only we got $10 billion from the government infused into the system, the only thing that's missing is money. I personally disagree with that. I think what's missing is people wanting to make this happen and realizing that ultimately every time you buy food and take a bite, you are voting with your fork. And we can vote for a more regional distribution, or we can keep the system we have. And realistically, it's probably going to be a hybrid of the two. But I'm all for tipping it a little more in the direction of regional, and ultimately it's up to us all whether we want that to happen or not.
I think that's a great point to leave on, and just love everything that you guys are doing, and I think you said it very well. I think it's up to us to support you and the model, and you're right here in Ventura County, so right in our backyard. So thank you so much, Matt.
Awesome. Thanks for highlighting it, Austin.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take care.